Coming up, Apple's Sarah Herrlinger talks 40 years of Apple accessibility, and haters gonna hate.
You're listening to Double Tap, your daily accessible technology show. Now, here's your hosts, Stephen Scott and Shaun Preece.
Well, hello. Welcome to another Double Tap. And it is I, Stephen Scott. He's Shaun Preece. You know the routine by now. Goodness, we've been doing this long enough. You know, I was in that podcast feed the other day. It's like 600 episodes in there. Who's listening to this stuff?
Oh, somebody is. Our lovely, lovely listeners. Hello, Double Tappers. How you doing? Sorry for that terrible intro by Stephen there. I think he's a bit flustered. We just spent an hour trying to install some software that... well, let's just say we struggled a little bit.
Can I just say, Windows File Explorer is terrible. There, I said.
How? What? It's worse than Finder on the Mac?
Yes, 100 times worse.
Oh, they've all got their pros and cons, Stephen Scott. I'm going to be balanced about it.
Why is it full of so much rubbish? I tell you, there are some people who would say this show's full of fluff. I say File Explorer is full of fluff.
We are the File Explorer of AMI.
File Explorer of AMI.
We got there in the end.
Oh, we did. I was trying to install a piece of software and, goodness me, it seemed like an absolute nightmare. But it's funny, though, I'm still using... I haven't updated you on this. So we had the chat last week with Michael Babcock. We were talking about Mac and PC. And after the show, I'd gone off and tried a few things. I was getting a bit annoyed with that whole share file thing I was talking about on the show, where you can't really share files. You've got to set up like a shared folder on the Windows desktop. I mean, basically, it's like having two separate machines, right, if you want to share files between them. Yeah. And that was kind of annoying me. In Parallels, you don't have that problem. So there I went, Black Friday, of course, and I thought, hey, I'm going to see if they've got a sale on. And they did. So I managed to pick up well, there was two options. There was like a pay-per-year subscriction or a one-time purchase.
Which was $10 more for a one-time lifetime purchase.
It was like $7 more. It was nothing. It was really, I mean, in comparison to, you know, and obviously, you know, that means that if you want the updates, you're going to have to pay extra. You're going to have to pay the full amount per year. I get it. But you know what? If it's working and it gives me a couple of years, that's fine. So yeah, one-time purchase is what I went for, and I got it for like $74, and that is it for the year. And you know, potentially for a good few years. And Windows I already had a license key for. I will say though, VOCR, I mean, as Michael was saying, it just came to the rescue. For those of you who haven't tried this VOCR app, it is so good. There's a link to it in the show notes from Friday's episode. Well worth checking out, because if you're running a Mac and you want to, and there are so many occasions, I mean, Parallels, the software I was downloading and installing, it has an installer which is accessible up to the first point you start installing Windows. It's like there's two parts to the installer. One is like that, you know, that traditional installer that goes off and downloads the install file?
Yes. That
bit's accessible. But it's the next bit that isn't, the actual installation of that, and nothing about that is accessible. So you must use something like VOCR or get sighted help or get IRA on the desktop or something else to be able to continue. So anyway, did all that, used VOCR, and it was an absolute dream. Absolutely wonderful. Got it all installed, and I'm quite enjoying it. I've actually set it up on the MacBook because I thought, well, at least it gives me two machines in one over there. Kind of thinking I may do the same now on the desktop. Still getting a few audio glitches with the... When you're using audio, like if I was using Audacity as I was using this morning, you get a lot of audio glitches. It's almost like it's trying to keep up with itself.
Right.
Which you would think wouldn't happen on a powerful MacBook. But remember, it is emulating, and you're running and emulating... I mean, I think I'm emulating Audacity in Windows on ARM on a Mac. So
yes,
there's a lot going on there.
There is a lot. The fact that it's working still just blows my mind in the first place. You're running Windows as just another program in a different OS. It still amazes me going back to the old days when I started all this. But yeah, I mean, it's, as we mentioned, it just seems like the best of both worlds. I mean, I was listening to you switch between downloading files in Windows and then using other apps on the Mac side of it, and just switching between the two. I mean, it's just ideal.
Yeah, you find a file you want to install, say an exe file you want to install on Windows, but it's in your iCloud drive. You can just, VO Shift M to bring up the right-click menu, and you can choose open in Windows, and that's it. It just throws it straight into Windows and begins the install process, as you would if you were opening up from the Windows side. And I just think those little things make such a difference. There is a bit of work to do to get it to work perfectly. I don't know if there is a perfect when it comes to emulation.
I want a step-by-step guide by Stephen Scott.
Well, I did one ages ago. I did a whole thing on it.
The bus. I want a new one.
Okay, fine. Well, you're not getting that. You know, listening, it just took me long enough to do that one. But I will say we have. I think we've finally made it, Shaun. I think we finally made it.
Oh, really?
I think we can say this show is finally hitting the mark with people.
Yes, because
we got a couple of comments on the back of the Mac versus PC episode on YouTube. I want to read these out.
Uh-oh.
Bob says, if that's your real name.
Hello, Bob.
I feel like I just went back in time to watch a program from 2008.
Okay. Is that a bad thing?
I don't know what programming was like on YouTube in 2008. I mean, it was a year old at that point, so it's hard to know. Was YouTube even around in 2008? I don't know. Also, someone else, number one Gator, I guess is the way you're pronouncing that. Maybe you guys need not to worry about computers and mix in some salads and exercise.
Oh, that is harsh. I heard social media can be a bit toxic.
It's a hard place, isn't it? I have to say, I think that's the light end of that particular salad.
Can I just say, I don't know what Mickey B looks like, so that may be a little uncalled for.
I think they're talking about us.
Oh, but that's fine. Yes, no, absolutely correct. Well done.
Definitely acceptable, yes.
Yes, thumbs up, sir.
I mean, because look, we have talked a lot about chicken and scented candles. In fact, Matt Ater from Vespero, a professional in the field, I might just say professional in the field, has written into the show. He says, hey guys, I was glad to see I made the show even though I didn't appear. Because we mentioned him, of course. Well, yes. We did suggest to Ryan Jones that perhaps he didn't want to come on here anymore because we were talking about NVDA so much. So Matt says, so great to hear you guys. Love seeing Shaun using JAWS. Now, if you can just work on having a tech show rather than one talking about fried chicken and scented candles, please. Signed, Matt Hater.
Well, yes, exactly. I was going to say, I was going to change your name there, Matt. Matt the Hater. Thank you.
Yeah.
Scented candles. Nothing wrong with that. That's aromatech, I believe it's called. It's a new genre.
Oh, well, actually, yes, there is tech behind these. Yeah, these ones now you plug into the wall and they can...
Oh, well done, Steve.
I did that. That's quite clever.
That's very good.
Kind of, shoehorned in a bit of tech.
Yeah.
I get these ones that you can select like what kind of aroma you want, how much of an aroma. I think you should get smart ones though. I think we'd be like, you know what, freshen up the room. Just a few times I could ask to.
And are they accessible? We ask the questions.
What? What do you mean, are they accessible?
The air fresheners.
It's an air freshener. What's inaccessible about an air freshener?
No. I've got one of those automatic ones in the bathroom, right? And it's got a switch that you go up or down to how regular it does a little squirt. But I don't know which is the most regular squirt or least frequent squirt.
Well, I found out because I pushed it all the way up.
Yeah.
And then I got squirted in the eye.
Yeah, but no. Then
I knew that it was too much.
But whenever you
less squirting in the eye, please.
No. Whenever you change it for the first time, it always does an initial squirt anyway, and then the timing frequency changes after that initial squirt.
I got rid of them because they freak me out.
They scare you every time.
They do. Every time I hear the what's that? I forget I've got them. It's like I always forget they exist.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. See, he's not coming on again anytime soon.
Wait.
NVDA is good, isn't it? I mean, NVDA is pretty good.
NVDA is great.
It's amazing, right? I mean, that shows.
Can I just say, stop it. I wanted to watch Netflix yesterday, as is my want. I wanted to Netflix and indeed chill.
Oh.
So I put Netflix on. I went to the Netflix website on my Surface Pro 8 tablet, which I had set up in my bedroom there. Lovely. No TV, obviously. I just used the Surface. Went to Netflix.com.
Tried to get Netflix on my radio.
Stop it. Went to Netflix.com because the Surface sounds great. I thought, I'm going to watch something here. Found the film Notting Hill. I thought I watched that. I like that. Bit of an old romantic. I like that. Can you click on any of those options? You know, when you can go through by heading, continue watching, new on Netflix, and then you can either tab or arrow down to go through all the options there. Notting Hill, Harry Potter. You hit enter on one of those, nothing. You hit space on any of those, nothing. How do you actually activate to watch a program on Netflix? Absolutely impossible. Now, I've used it before, I'm sure, but it just seems to be totally inconsistent. I open up Narrator, I was using JAWS, I used NVDA, absolutely nothing. So what's going on there then?
You got a phone, right?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's how I usually watch it. Oh, no.
What's your problem then?
Oh, what's my problem? Why am I being shut out of Netflix.com is my problem.
Why are you being shut out of one of the 800 devices around you that could potentially play you this content?
I'm sorry, Stephen Scott. I'm sorry. So it doesn't matter about accessibility on the website. Is that what you're saying? I'm throwing you right under the bus.
Absolutely couldn't care less, to be perfectly honest. I would just use another device.
Unbelievable.
I'd use an Apple TV, which is, of course, the creme de la creme of
TV streaming
boxes.
Yes, just to say,
certain apps.
I got around this and did watch the fantastic Notting Hill by using the left mouse click button, which I believe is something above the 8 on the numpad,
I think
whatever that is.
What used to happen for a while, which was very annoying, was when you would arrow through various options on the website, the window would sort of expand and it would either start playing the movie or it would play a trailer or a clip of the movie. And then trying to find the play button in amongst that was a nightmare because it was a dynamic site. It was continually changing. Which I don't really understand the value of. I mean, it must be quite difficult to navigate
visually
with the mouse.
Sure, it's lovely. No, you know what? It's not too bad. I can go through and it says see more titles, see previous titles. I can navigate it okay. It's just every now and again, it won't let me activate a single thing. And I've got to use the left mouse click button on whatever your screen reader is. I just find it really annoying. It's not, a game changer. I'm just having a little bit of a whine about it. Sorry.
Whinging and whining and moaning. That is what you're good at.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We got any emails to go to?
We got tons. Listen, it's International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Now, what does that mean, Shaun Preece? Please do tell us.
Well, for me, Stephen Scott, it means that for the rest of the world, they get to just think about for one day someone with a disability and some of the things they have to deal with. For me, it's a spotlight. It's a focus on just one day of the year. Is that enough? Well, I don't know. But for us, we live it. We have every day is a day with disabilities.
Yeah, exactly. We don't get a day off.
No.
And also, we talk about it every day. So I'm not going to get into too much detail or, get into too much conversation. I know we are going to be doing that here on AMI, and I think rightly so. But, here at Double Tap, this is what we talk about every day. So, we're not going to dwell on it too much unless people want to write in and have their say on it. But, then people may have a view on these days themselves. I don't know how useful they are. I'd like to think they are, but I often think, I often remember when the Paralympics came to London in 2012, and I remember hearing so much talk about disability. And, I say that particular Paralympics because, of course, it was in my home country. And I thought, perhaps this is going to be a big deal. This is going to get a spotlight. And the Paralympics really got, I think, a proper spotlight on it for the first time.
I agree.
Almost to the level where, it felt like the Olympics and the Paralympics were equal in terms of coverage, as they should be, but often they're not. And, I thought things were going to change. I felt a slight change in the air. And then about 2 months later, just all died away again.
Yeah.
And I think media has a big part to play in that. The message that media puts out about disabled people, I think that's a huge part of it. And people's attitudes tend to just reset. And I think that's partly because, if you just focus on the issues for a day or you focus them into a week or 2 weeks, and you could say this about any group, then you forget about it for a while, because we're not that visual, we're not that visible out there.
Funnily enough, no, we're not. No, you're right. But then, look, I'm not putting this, the existence of this day down at all. But I'm just saying for someone with a disability, how important is this day, opposed to how important is it to, spotlight people with disabilities. And not only the problems that we have, but also the capabilities that we still have. I think it is important to have a day out there to say, hey, people, we are real people too.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't become inspiration porn. I can't be bothered with all this garbage, It was so wonderful that, Johnny was able to climb up a mountain, pulling a sleigh or whatever it was, It's like, who cares? That's not the real world.
Can I just say, I'm so sorry, Johnny. I love your sleigh pulling abilities.
Sleigh pulling up a mountain, good for you, right? And, I'm pro people climbing mountains who are blind or disabled. Absolutely. But it's not the only story, right? For some of us, it's just getting over the front door. Some of us, it's, getting into the shop can feel like an achievement.
Absolutely.
In our own world. But, if you tell that to someone else, they're like, so what? We're not an inspiration for that. I just think people have got their priorities wrong. But we know this. We know this in our community only too well. Anyway, look, I'm not going to start getting all maudlin about it because,
Stephen.
It's like someone a journalist once got in touch with me and said, do you want to comment on World Sight Day? I just said, yeah, I'm against it. And then they never responded again. I thought, well, that got rid of them.
It could have been worse. You could have been quoted.
Yeah, that's right. I'm against sight.
Stephen Scott says.
I'm sure someone will clip that and use it against me.
Oh, dear.
Well, they do everything else. But anyway, lots to talk about today with Sarah Herrlinger. She's joining us today. Yesterday we talked to the wonderful Mike Shebenek, of course. That was a great conversation.
Oh, it was. Yes.
And a real insight into what went on at Apple at the time when we learned about VoiceOver and how it came to be, and other accessibility features as well. But, we focused in on, rather selfishly, into VoiceOver. So today we're going to take it up a gear. We're going to talk about some other features coming, or at least that are here. Sarah Herrlinger joining us today as part of International Day of Persons with Disabilities. Apple, of course, will be doing much promotion around that. I don't know if you saw the commercial they put out recently.
No.
There was a new one they put out just for the holidays focusing on the hearing aids functionality. They have this video they're running, which is basically showcasing a dad. It's kind of like a sliding doors type situation where you've got, the situation is replayed twice.
Yes.
One essentially with the hearing aid functionality and the AirPods Pro enabled and one without. And the difference for the father watching his child open the presents on Christmas Day is different. It's a totally different experience. He doesn't feel closed off or isolated from the world, sort of watching on as this happens.
Yes.
But can engage in it, can hear what the kid's saying. And if I had a heart, I'd probably be in tears, but you know me.
Wow, unbelievable. Yes, okay, that's coming up.
Well, we're not talking about that today because that was just announced the other day. But we did talk to Sarah just at the point when she was here in the UK for the TechShare Pro conference. She was doing a bit of a tour of Europe and speaking at various conferences this year. So we get to chat about that. Another subject we bring up with her is feedback. Because as we know, one of the conversations we tend to get the most here is, I've sent feedback into Apple, but I never feel I get a response. Well, we put that question directly to Sarah today, and you'll hear her response that coming up. Let's move on to some emails. I want to pick up on one because we did talk a little bit about the Tim Dixon episode when Tim was with us, talking about index Braille embossers.
Yes.
And we have one of our listeners, Paul, who has got in touch with us. He wants to comment on that.
Hi guys, hello Miss K, Paul Martz here, coming to you from the state of Colorado. I enjoyed your Braille embosser discussion with Tim Dixon. I'm a writer. To self-publish a book or novel, most authors format their manuscript into a print-ready PDF, upload it to a publisher retailer, such as Amazon, then sit back and wait for the money to roll in, with Amazon doing all the heavy lifting of selling, printing and shipping. This is great if your readers are all sighties. I'm looking for an equivalent service for print Braille. I should be able to transcribe my manuscript into a BRF file and upload it to a publisher retailer. Then I would sit back on my blind butt and collect my royalties while they sell, print and ship the books. Printing would be easy and cheap thanks to Braille embossers. However, no such service exists as far as I can tell. For me, to self-publish in Braille, I would need to purchase Braille copies of the book in bulk at a significant upfront cost, store them in my garage, sell them through an online store that I'd have to configure and manage, and package and ship them myself. This isn't what I want. Like I said, I'm a writer. I want to write, not run an online store. Without a self-publish option, my inclination is to publish as an EPUB, which blind readers could read using either a screen reader or a refreshable Braille display. This is less than perfect because not every blindie has a refreshable display. Please tell me I'm wrong. Please tell me a self-published service exists for print Braille. From Paul. P.S.
Thank you. Oh.
Miss K, I'm so sorry for making you say but.
Well, no side note, so I guess she's furious.
Yes. That was so abrupt.
It was. I apologise for you saying but.
Okay. That's a very good point. I don't know of any. Do you?
Well, I know that on a personal level in the UK, there's the RNIB that will do publishing of a Braille book for you if you want it, or there's a personal allowance, if you like, of how much Braille you can have printed out. If you want something, that usually I think people use it for online courses or, stuff that they need access to printed materials for. And need
but that's different than...
But that's not a book. That's not this.
Yeah, that's not what he's looking for, because he's absolutely right. Amazon will take care of everything for you. I don't know of one... Hey, there needs to be a blind entrepreneur out there. Maybe Tim himself can offer this service.
Yeah, get all
shipping and
get
printing.
All those embossers going, Tim, and start a little business going. I mean, seriously, there's an opportunity here if that doesn't exist. So throwing it out to you, Double Tappers. Tell us if you know of a service that Paul can use to be able to get his book published. I'm sure there must be something, because there are many blind writers out there, and there's certainly blind publishers of Braille books.
Yes.
So, these books they can't be, I would imagine, being produced by the individuals.
But as Paul said, I think mostly it's e-publishing, isn't it? It's either MP3 files or PDF or Word documents for a lot of these. So I don't know how many of them are actually available in hard copy Braille.
Great question, Paul. We'll put it out there, see what people say. Now, you might remember we were at Sight Village recently, and we had the chance to meet a number of our listeners. I don't want to say fans, because that sounds incredibly arrogant, but they might call themselves fans, and that's fine. But I'm not calling you fans, because that's unfair to everyone involved. But I will say it was great meeting everybody, and in particular, Jennifer.
Hello, Stephen and Shaun. What a delight to meet you two at Sight Village. I had a trial run with Glide and had a chance to speak with Amos. I did pop back to him a few times, trying to track you down. After being there for a few hours, we decided to go home, but as Freddie, my husband, saw my disappointment, he parked me in reception and gave it one more shot. How excited I was when he came back and said he had found you. I was very excited, as you witnessed, so I hope I did not drive you both mad. As I said, you two guys have made me so happy over the years, and I just love the banter, information and knowledge you pass on through the podcast. I was gliding on air for the rest of the day and evening. Oh. Best wishes to you both, Jennifer Carpenter.
Oh, Jennifer, it was lovely to meet you too. It really was.
It was. Thank you so much. And Fred as well. Good old Freddie. Yeah. He went through, it was so busy, Sight Village. Busiest I've ever been to. It was jam-packed in there, and he found us just at a booth somewhere, didn't he? So well done to him as well. And it was lovely to meet both of you.
I'm really glad you found us, because I know what it's like if you go somewhere and you're either wanting to meet someone or you're hoping to catch something and you can't for whatever reason. And I must admit, I don't know about you, Shaun, I felt that event could have been run over 5 days and been this, a little bit less busy on one, because it was a one-day event. And I really feel these events could really be doing with being extended. There's a value there for the companies involved, for sure. I think there's more value, actually, because having a bunch of people trying to elbow their way through to, get hold of a piece of tech, which, bear in mind, you may not ever get a chance to touch again for another year.
Yeah, and it's some of those, exhibitors there, it was 3 or 4 deep just to get near, to get hands-on with, a product. So, absolutely, I think it could have gone on all week.
I mean, look, I know that Glide was one of the main reasons why Sight Village and other organisations are almost, falling over themselves to invite Glide to their event, because it is really bringing out the crowd.
Yeah.
There's lots of people who may never have attended an event like that, or at Sight City in Germany, or, any of the events in the States or Canada. There are lots of events going on. And the one thing that seems to be bringing people out this year is the idea of getting hands-on with Glide. And it's interesting, because I'm getting very close on a personal level here. I'm very close to kind of making that call to guide dogs and saying, I think it's time. So the Glide is kind of running up against it here for me. It's like, I really think I'm going to have to do something, because I just on a personal level with the tremor, I'm finding it very hard to get out with a cane. So I'm kind of feeling I need to make a decision here.
That's so interesting.
The problem I've got is it's going to take so blooming long to get the guide dog. I'll probably have Glide before it.
Is it almost that the prospect of Glide arriving is putting you off going for the guide dog? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. A little
really?
Bit. Yeah, because I think, I'd probably rather have the Glide. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love a guide dog. Of course I would. I would treasure it. I love dogs and I love having them around.
You would then become a 3-dog family.
I don't care about that. I think once you get past 2, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I think falling over dogs is fun. I'm getting used to it.
It's not the falling over, it's the picking up after.
I'm running
out of carrier bags here.
No, listen, to bring, it's just for Matt, right? Just for Matt Hater, some tech here. So we were looking up, but just for a laugh, my wife and I were looking up the other night. Is there such a thing as a dog picker-upper, pooper, scooper robot? Right? That must be something, right? Yeah. You'd think in all the technology in all the world there'd be something. And we found one. And it was called Beetle. But it was Beetle, B-E-E-T, hang on, B-E-E-T-L. Yeah. Beetle, like without the E at the end.
Beetle. Okay.
No, just Beetle.
Yeah, Beetle. Yeah.
No, not Beetle, it's Beetle.
No, it's not Beetle, because it hasn't got an E on the end. It's Beetle. Beat with an L. Beetle.
All right, Beetle.
Thank you. I win. Hell.
Next. So the Beetle was the device that was, this was it. It was going to be the dog pooper, scooper, picker, upper machine.
Yes.
And I thought, brilliant. So read about it. And it said 2020, prototype, 2021, Kickstarter. Nothing since. Not a word. So it looks like it's died.
No.
And I'm like, hang on. Is this because it's a mainstream product, right? And maybe mainstream people wouldn't want this? I mean, would you not want this? I don't know. They're saying that they were going to potentially bring in like lawn cleanup capability as well. So it wouldn't just do that. It would do other things. Maybe just the appeal wasn't there. But I think that would be an amazing device.
Oh, it would for us. I mean, that was awful. Luckily, my dog doesn't do anything at home. So he only does it when we're out on a walk. So it's fine.
So you have to take the robot with you. Have it following behind. Rolling along the street with you. I've got it, Shaun. It's okay.
99% of the time, I know exactly when he's about to do something. So it's fine. I can deal with it. But at home, it used to be with previous dogs. It's hard work. And you hate asking people, do you mind just, is there anything there I need to pick up? Can you give me left, right,
I know,
forward,
it's horrible,
back?
Isn't it?
It's the worst, awful game of crane ever. There it is. You're right over it now. Oh, dear me. Yeah, there should be a tech should be able to solve this problem.
I think they should. I mean, in our garden, it's just, what I am lucky to an extent is that the dogs seem to have places where they like to go. So there's a little track you can follow. It's like a little game, of roughly around about here. And sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't.
It's a minefield.
Literally, yes. A horrible minefield.
Hey, all right, Matt. How'd you like that conversation?
There you go, some tech in there for you.
You happy now, Matt?
What do you want?
Unbelievable.
Scout's been in touch, actually, on the point about tremors. Scout has sent this in.
Stephen, have you heard of an organisation called the IETF, or the International Essential Tremor Foundation?
No.
My first wife has had her tremor since childhood, which is apparently a rare thing, like your eye condition. I wonder if they have very many of our community, such as yourself, that are involved, or even have knowledge of those with a mixture of both conditions. What support, if any, are you seeking for your tremor? She uses weighted silverware and a sort of wrist weight to help with doing other manual tasks. She uses drinking straws a great deal, as she does not drink many hot liquids, and her tremor is more defined than yours, as best as I can tell. Just some food for thought. Thanks, Laura, for all these emails you read for us. Sincerely, Sir Scout. P.S. Happy Double Thursday, Shaun.
Thank you, Sir Scout. Yes.
Well, I haven't really sought treatment as such, but you did mention there about the weighted cutlery. That's something we did buy, which does help. You would think that, how does that help? But it's actually pretty amazing how it does. All the weight is in the bit you're holding, right, for the spoon or the fork. So you're kind of getting the ability to get some control over it. It's designed for people with Parkinson's as well, which of course is also the same family of conditions.
Yeah, of course, it's activating the muscle, isn't it? So it's not free to go into sort of the essential tremor spasm.
That's right.
Yeah.
The point you make about straws is interesting because I'm terrible for spilling, but I always have been. That's just I think that's a blind thing as well. Because it's right mixed. You don't know which one to blame.
How dare you, sir?
Oh, come on.
I am
blind
covered.
People in soup, the worst possible combination you can think of. It's like I've been to events where blind people turn up at, and they serve soup, Preece. Soup.
I can manage with soup. I can use a spoon, Stephen Scott. Don't limit me. Yes, I will spill it all down me, but that's fine. Absolutely fine. The essential tremor. You mentioned about that and mobility. So have you noticed some progression in that then?
Yeah, I have, and it seems to kind of come in waves, and again, it's all down to environment, tiredness. It's very similar to nystagmus in that way. Very similar to that, actually. If I'm tired, if I'm wired to the moon with coffee, if I'm, feeling...
Yeah, the coffee can't help, can it?
No, well, it doesn't, to be perfectly honest, I don't think it makes a huge difference.
Doesn't, yeah, okay.
But I don't know. It's something we'll watch. But yeah, that's why I'm thinking about the guide dog. But anyway, look, we can talk about that tomorrow because I want to get on to our interview. We've got Sarah. It's not that I only talk about it. I do, but I just
thank you, Scout.
Move on.
Anyway, it was interesting.
Thank you, Scout. I do appreciate your comments, and I will definitely check out that organisation. But we must move on. I get the chance to catch up with Sarah Herrlinger from Apple to talk all things tech. That'll please Matt. And we talked about all kinds of interesting stuff. In particular, a special anniversary coming up for Apple next year.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here.
You're on your travels. You've been in Lisbon. You're in London as we speak to you today. Tell us what you've been up to.
Yeah. So I had the incredible opportunity of being able to speak at a conference called Web Summit. And it is, I believe they said it's the largest tech conference in the world. So quite an interesting moment of being in a giant arena of people. But I always love when we kind of can both, well, this trip has been interesting. It's been half going to a general conference and being in front of thousands of people for whom accessibility is not their bread and butter, and being able to share our message and get more people excited and interested in understanding how unbelievably creative this work is. But then coming here to London and being at TechShare Pro, which is one of my favorite conferences, and being able to spend some time with lots of friends and colleagues and really, speak to accessibility to people who know it and love it and share the message there.
Yeah, but both sides of a very important coin. But it was very interesting to hear you going to that conference in Lisbon. It even made news, with a lot of the mainstream tech publications I noticed picked up on it. And I think that was quite interesting because of the fact that you were presenting accessibility, which even in the mainstream tech world can still feel like a little bit of something new, not a novelty anymore, I don't think, but more of something new and exciting and something worth engaging in. Is that the impression you're getting?
Definitely. And I agree with that, the way you phrased that. It's not a novelty. People definitely understand it is something that is important, but they may not have the deep understanding of it. And I was really thrilled at the number of people who came to the session. It was a really, big crowd, and people were really engaged. So it's always fun when you can really bring this to new communities and have them understand the depth and breadth of the kind of work that we do.
I've noticed, I don't know if you find this, but whenever you bring up accessibility these days at a conference, especially when it's not something that is perhaps the main meal on the table, let's say, you tend to become the most popular person in the room because everyone wants to talk to you, especially developers, right? Developers love to play in toolkits. And when they learn there's a whole new toolkit that can enable a whole new bunch of people to access their app or their service or whatever it might be, it does excite people, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think, as we continue to build out APIs for all of the new features that we create, I do see a lot of excitement amongst developers who want to understand how they can better take advantage of those. I think there's definitely an understanding in the world that, the disability community is 16% of the world's population. And so it's a vibrant market of people who have embraced technology and want to do more with it. And so for those third-party developers, being able to incorporate all of these things in is both certainly seen as a way to get more users, but also I think our work is some of the most creative work out there. So I think for engineers, that's also fun as well to kind of see somebody doing something that no one's ever done before, and to build that in and then allow them to use that within whatever is the medium that they're working in, whatever is their area of expertise.
It's going to surprise a lot of people when I say this, but Apple's celebrating 40 years of accessibility.
Yes.
Now, is that next year? Is it officials of year next year, is it?
It is. Our first Office of Disability actually started in 1985. So we have been really committed for many decades to the idea that you don't build just for some communities, you build for everyone. And our work in accessibility is really a testament to our desire to ensure that everyone can use our products the way that works best for them.
Now, you, of course, would be a child crawling around on the floor when Apple developed accessibility, correct?
I'd like to think so, yes.
I mean, it's... What do you know about those early days? When did you join the company? When did you start?
I've actually been there for, I would say, going through the front door. It's been just over 21 years, but I was a contractor for my first 14 months. So amazingly, I hit my 20-year anniversary a week ago today.
Well done.
So yeah, which is a wonderful milestone. It's been an amazing thing to be at this company, and I really can't imagine anywhere else that I would have been able to do the work that I do, or had as much fun doing the work that I do. So it's been great.
Yeah, I mean, you sound like, every time I speak to you, I always feel you just exude so much passion for what you do, but love for what you do as well. And I do feel the community send that love back. I mean, I know we often get wrapped up in, oh, there's a bug in this software, or this isn't quite right, or there's an issue here. But actually, the truth is, we get passionate as consumers because we value the product so much. We value the work that you guys do. And it means so much to us because it gives us the ability to do whatever we want to do, quite frankly. You know, I go back to the early days. I was talking to someone about this the other day, you know, the early days of the iPhone when it first came out. And I remember thinking, as I know a lot of people did at the time, especially those who are blind, were saying, we're going to be locked out of this. We're not going to be able to access this thing because it's just a sheet of glass with a button on it. How do we use it? And then suddenly VoiceOver comes along in that classic 36 seconds that Shelley Brisbane often talked about, the 36 seconds that changed everything. And suddenly, boom, there you have this thing called VoiceOver for blind people, obviously, other, you know, not just for blind people, but there were other services for other disabled people as well, which was wonderful. But, you know, for blind people, we were suddenly part of the room, equalized along with everyone else. And that was huge. But, you know, what we're learning with this 40th anniversary, and I must admit, 40 years, even I was thinking, goodness, 40 years, that seems a long time.
Years.
But when you say 1985, it doesn't feel that long ago. It's funny when you put it in the year terms. What do you know about the early days, about, you know, the whole idea of Apple accessibility getting started and how it all came to be?
Yeah, well, you know, there were some incredibly passionate people back then who championed, and all the way up to the highest levels, people agreed and believed that it's the right thing to do. I think it's just as part of the, you know, who this company is at its very core is really about making technology that works for everyone. And so that original proposal of we should have an Office of Disability was something that was immediately embraced. And I think from that, then it was really getting people to understand what it means to make technology for everyone. And so we were sort of the pioneers building in some of those first features like sticky keys and slow keys and being able to, you know, flash the screen so that someone in the deaf community would be able to get a visual alert when an audible chime was going off, and, you know, things like that, and really starting to think about what does it mean to design for everyone, and then continuing to make that a part of the culture for all of these years.
It's interesting you use the phrase design for everyone, and that is often not directly connected to accessibility, but actually it kind of should be. We often think, I think some people think of accessibility as an other thing, as something else, as an area that you perhaps only go to if you're disabled type of thing. Whereas design for everyone is perhaps a better way to describe it, because you are like sticky keys is something which, yes, is very much an accessibility feature, but is used by a lot of different people. And that's the case for, I mean, look at dark mode today is a perfect example of something that, you know, is brilliant for those of us with light sensitivity, those of us who, you know, feel issues with glare, low vision challenges. But of course, coders love to work in the dark. They don't want big bright screens. So that's, you know, it suddenly becomes a design for everyone approach. That conversation has changed over the years, hasn't it? Because like you say, you started with the Office of Disability or for Disability, and now you're kind of building universal access, to go back to one of the original names of Apple Accessibility.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's so many examples of things like double tap on the watch, back tap on the phone, type to Siri, many things that we've designed that started in the realm of accessibility and have been, embraced across so many different communities. Because for one person, accessibility may be their access. For other people, it may be a way to support productivity. I talk to a lot of people about just open the settings and go in and play around. There's some great life hacks in there that you'll find that even if you don't self-identify as having a disability, I'm pretty sure we'll find something in there that's going to make your life easier as a general user.
Yeah, I mean, just even large text, for a lot of people struggling with the phone, make the text larger. Of course, the challenge can be getting the developers to adopt that into their app. We see that a lot as well. That's often the challenge. But, the system has the capability for it. So, that is what's wonderful.
Yeah, again, those APIs are there. So, and we're always evangelizing to developers to embrace as many of the accessibility features and those APIs as we can.
Do you know what the first recorded accessibility feature was that Apple developed that was actually classified that way?
My goodness. That is a good question. I will have to go back, and there's a few things that are rattling around in my brain right now, and I don't want to say the wrong one. So next interview, I'll put that on the list.
Hold you to that. Okay, that's fine. Now, of course, we zoom forward to 2024, and, the culmination of all of this work is so evident, because what I think we're seeing this year, and we have seen in the past few years from accessibility especially, is nuance coming into accessibility. A feature like VoiceOver, for example, let's take that as an example, has kind of grown now and is starting to get nuance within it. We're talking about, live recognition. We're talking about, the ability to, really customize voice now within VoiceOver. So, if you feel your eloquence voice, which, by the way, huge props for bringing eloquence in. Oh, I love it. Having that, but also having the capability to really customize that voice as well. These are really important features. And, initially you look and you think, goodness me, there's an awful lot of options in here. What do they all do? And then when you start playing with them, you realize how wonderful they are. Mm-hmm. And, I've been playing around with my voice and changing it, although I'm I never stay still with my voice. I think I'm on Nathan at the moment. He's my current favorite. Mm-hmm. It's having so much flexibility, so much customization, but so much nuance in it. One example of that, in particular this year, I think, that a lot of people are talking about is Braille screen input. Because that really got a bit of a kick up the backside this year, I feel. Mm-hmm. It seemed to me as if you had really kind of rethought the whole Braille screen input and really took it up a gear. What was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that's incredibly important to us is we don't believe that any feature is kind of done, check the box, move on, and leave it stagnant. We really always try and look at the work that we're doing and figure out how can we do better. And so, part of that is that the whole Apple kind of surprise and delight of making sure that our users know that within our operating systems every year over year, we're going to try and do something that makes you feel seen, that you're a part, of the Apple family, and we want to do something to make your life again a little bit easier, a little better. But I think also these teams, the engineering teams, continue to work on features year over year to make them something that, if we figure out something we can do to just tweak something even a little bit, as you said, nuance, let's make it happen. And I think Braille screen input was a good one. When we first developed it, we knew how it could be so powerful for the community if they didn't have immediate access to a Braille display, or typing in Braille was the way that they felt most comfortable getting down their thoughts, that we wanted to make that happen. But as time's gone by, we've, as we get feedback from people, and you were talking earlier about that element of, providing feedback and how people, constantly want to sort of talk about what they like and things. And we love that dialogue. We really appreciate when the community comes in and tells us what's working, what's not working, reports bugs, lets us know if based on their unique, disability or set of disabilities that maybe something could work a little bit better for them. We love getting that feedback. So definitely encouraged. I'll just jump in real quick with the accessibility@apple.com email address. Please write to us and let us know what your thoughts are. But yeah, and getting in feedback around Braille screen input, we wanted to spend some time figuring out how we could make it a better feature in the operating system. And so I think we're really excited about what we've been able to do this year.
Just on the feedback point, a lot of people get in touch with us concerned that when they do email that email address, they're not being heard. Can you respond to that? I mean, you're clearly getting a lot of emails, I imagine. So how do you manage that?
Yeah, no. I want everyone to know that there are humans on the other end of that. There's nothing that is a bot or in anything. It is actual people who are receiving those. And while in some cases the response that they give may be, we've got to investigate this, thank you for sending it. We've got to investigate it and we'll look into it, which may seem like it's, a form letter. It's not. It is. That person is then taking that information, putting it into what's called a radar and sending it to the appropriate engineering teams. Sometimes it can take a little while to figure out exactly what that thing is, because maybe there's something about it that someone's particular use of a specific voice or a specific Braille display or a specific, there's so much customization that can be done as we have to peel back the layers of the onion and figure out what is it that's actually happening here. But it is most definitely humans who are getting that and working hard to try and figure out how to get it to the right people. And then those people trying to figure out what is going on and get that fixed.
Of course, accessibility is not just voiceover. It's, it's, as you say, designed for everyone, which is very much at the heart of what you do at Apple. And that is evident in all the features that exist. And there are so many accessibility features, and we could talk about tons, but we do talk about them all here. I promise you on Double Tap. We talk about them all the time. But one I want to mention because it kind of came out of the blue for a lot of us and it surprised some of us. And we kind of fell in love with the idea. And that was music haptics. Because it kind of brought the fun into accessibility. It was like, disabled people can have fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That has been a really wonderful project and so excited that it's out in the world. The idea behind music haptics is that on the iPhone, using the Taptic engine, to be able to line up vibrations on the device with music going on. And so it gives different levels of vibration depending on, the treble, the different elements of it, but really giving someone the opportunity to feel music along or in lieu of hearing it. It was specifically designed to support the deaf and hard of hearing community. But we're finding so many people are writing into us or telling us how much they love having it on. So really excited about music haptics.
I want to touch on Apple Intelligence. There's so many areas we could talk about. But of course, Apple Intelligence is just, it feels in some ways like it's in its infancy, and it clearly is because it's just launched, or launching, because of course it's not fully available around the world yet, at least in their localized English or language. But I want to ask you a little bit about the accessibility within that, because, instantly because I set all my devices to US English, so I wanted to play. And I hope that's allowed, but I did. And I had a lot of fun with it. And I was kind of feeling like instantly, like it was telling me on the Mac that writing tools was available in the actions menu. And, I could use it. It was instantly telling me on the iPhone where writing tools, for example, would show up. It just felt so embedded right away. Do you have a hand in that, or is that something that is kind of built into just the framework of how the OS is built?
Well, I think it's multifold. Certainly as a company, accessibility is a part of everything we do. So whether something is, 100% done by the accessibility team or by any engineering team at Apple, it's foundational. And so from the start, Apple Intelligence was built with accessibility in mind. Our team also then engages to kind of help bring that little bit of nuance and secret sauce, I think, as well. But we are really excited about the launch of Apple Intelligence and what it can do to support all of our different communities. When you think about something like writing tools, to be able to get a summarization of something that may be very complex and bring it into a way to understand what it is can be super helpful for so many different types of disabilities. Also, being able to take basic text and get an understanding of how do I make this sound a little more professional? How do I change this? The tone can also be fantastic. I love the idea of the prioritization of things like alerts and notifications as well, to really be able to kind of, with all the things I have going on in my day and all the many places I have to be and things, to really be able to have it succinctly tell me what I need to focus on in this moment and what then do I need to do over the course of the day is super exciting. And then when you start to get into some of the things like, I was looking at the memories feature in photos and being able to use natural language to find things, super valuable. And in particular, I think for the blind and low vision communities, to have that way to be able to just say, find me all of the photos that involve a specific person or a specific person on a specific day doing a specific thing. That can be really helpful.
I want to ask you about visual intelligence, because it was kind of presented as a non-accessibility feature, but, clearly us as blind people are going, well, hang on a minute, this sounds very interesting. So I can point my camera at things and it can tell me things. What can you tell us about visual intelligence and accessibility kind of joining together, if they aren't already in your mind?
Yeah, no, I think it is something that is certainly joined together. Whether in some cases when we make a feature, we know that there is a benefit for a larger community, and we want to make sure that others are able to enjoy it or know it's there for their usage as well. But I think, we know so much that the blind community can benefit from tools like this to be able to have that immediate knowledge of what's around them. And so, yes, it's certainly something that we are incredibly excited for the blind community's usage.
We're heading into 40 years, of course. I imagine celebrations will be abound and look forward to hearing about them. But, amazing work from the entire accessibility team. You leading it for such a long time, and we're so grateful to you for that. What's your personal milestones?
My gosh, there's so many. There's been so many wonderful things that have happened over my time here that I feel very blessed to have been a part of. I think, certainly from the perspective of the product, gosh, we've done things to really push technology forward for all of the different disability pillars that we have around vision, hearing, physical, motor, cognitive, and speech. And I can probably come up with a thing in each one of those. But I think the other thing that I'm just really proud of is how over the course of this time, we've been able to really expand everyone internally at Apple's perspective around accessibility. And I think, this is some of the work that is really the most creative, and of which every employee is most proud of and has internalized into themselves. So, when I've certainly said this before, but when people ask me how many people are on the accessibility team, my answer is I think we have about 170,000 employees, and they're all on my accessibility team, because it is so deeply embedded in our culture that everything we do is something where people are thinking, okay, how do I make sure that I'm doing this right and that I'm respectful of individuals with disabilities in whatever their job is. And so I think that's one of the things I'm really most proud of, is that we as a company do this in everything that we do.
And I think from our end, as consumers, I hear a lot of talk in our community. I talk to lots of blind people about this topic, as you know, all the time, personally, professionally. And the end result is this, that whenever Apple releases a product, no matter what it is, we know whether we're going to buy it or not, it'll be accessible. And I think that says a lot about the company and how you've embedded this across. When the Vision Pro came out, I'm immediately thinking, this is an incredibly visual product. I'm not going to buy this, but I know it's going to be accessible. And I think that's testament to the work that's been done. And it's important we recognize that and say thank you to you for doing the work you do. Thank you to the team at Apple who do a wonderful job, who deal with all our feedback. I have to get these emails endlessly, but, you know, it all comes from a good place. And I just think it's great work you do. And you know, here's to 20 more years, Sarah. Are you up for that?
Oof, you know, we'll see.
We'll see. Okay, all right.
You might not want me after 20 more years, but for as long as I can be here, I do love my job. So
I appreciate you coming onto our show as well and supporting Double Tap as you do by coming on here. So thank you so much.
Always. I love spending time with you, my friend.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. We'll chat soon. Thank you very much.
Take care.
So there you go, Sarah Herrlinger from Apple joining us, and Shaun, an amazing milestone, 40 years of Apple accessibility.
Years. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem that long, but wow, I'm getting old, and so is Apple, but 40 years. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. That was so interesting.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, look, that's it for today. Thank you so much, as always, for getting in touch as you do. We'll get to more of your feedback on tomorrow's Double Tap in all the usual ways. Get in touch, email, phone, WhatsApp, whatever way you want. Get in touch and we'll chat to you tomorrow. Thanks, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.